Day 2 on the aggravating floor job. Let the games begin. Let's do a little time lapse. All right. My goodness, the humidity is crazy. I am sweating. Yesterday I was freezing. Today I'm sweating. All righty. I'm going to cut this piece, and then I'm going to screw this one and half of that down, and then I'm going to do my last pieces and screw it down. We are getting close. What a difference a day makes. I feel, I'm not happy about the gaps at all, but there's nothing I can do about them. I'm not a good carpenter, and I'm sure there are people just screaming at me what I should have done, but where were you when I started this? So I'm gonna go get that piece cut, and I'm gonna have to walk all the way around the trailer because we had rain last night and it is really muddy out here where my wife raked the leaves up, and that's where I'm cutting so I'm gonna have to walk all the way around the trailer and then carry my cut piece back through the trailer. So let me get after it. Here's another little twist. Okay, I'm towards the end here, right? I got one more piece to put down, and the little gaps that were just mildly annoying on that end have slowly turned themselves into embarrassing gaps. And just out of curiosity, Breezy, no, I need that. That's a T25. I need it. Nope. Here, come get that wood. Here, get out of that. I took my T-square out to the plywood, and I'll be damned if the factory edge is not square. Man, you don't stand a chance of making making decent seams when the factory edge isn't even square. Because here's what happens. If you line the plywood up with that seam and make it square, with a factory edge not square, you got a gap here. If you line the plywood up with a factory edge, you got a gap there. You can't win. I'm totally stumped how plywood, tongue and groove plywood, could be this impossible to manage and use like you would think you'd use it. I've used tongue and groove OSB before and had no problems whatsoever with it. This is my first experience with tongue and groove plywood, and I chose tongue and groove thinking that the seam would be sturdier, and it might be if you could hammer these damn things together tight enough. Good Lord, I'm sick of this already. I'm gonna finish this today. I'm gonna put you on the tripod and give you a little more screwing footage. Bomb chicka wow wow. And that is how you ruin a good pair of knees. All right, I did a little experiment. I had to cut the end off of this, the tongue side. So I turned it around, and why does it fit perfectly here? Nice seam all the way across. Well, much better than what I've been able to accomplish. So what is the freaking deal with this? Why would it not, no matter how, actually it has mushroomed this out a little bit. I'm stumped. I'm stumped, and like I said, valuable lesson. This is obviously, I used the wrong stuff for the wrong purpose. And, you know, the simple fact that it's not 48 all the way across means that it's probably made for subfloor, going in one direction, maybe not perpendicular with the joist, but what's the other direction? I can't think of it. Anyway, this is the last piece. I'm gonna get it in there and screwed down. I have 2 more rows of screws to put in and I am done. This will be the last clip of this video. I have changed my mind about stain. I'm gonna bring the stain back and I'm gonna go back to the old porch and deck oil base, probably chocolate brown, dark brown. And the reason is I'm gonna take caulking and fill in these gaps and fill in my screw holes. And I don't think stain, as a matter of fact, I know stain won't, caulking won't take stain, so, but it will take oil-based paint over it. So the next video you see about this will be me painting this. Nothing exciting, but I'll show you some clips as I get it done. I am getting closer and closer, and thank God. This was a real project here. I've learned a lot, and you know, I'm 58. You just never stop learning, you know, things you should have done, and that's a good thing. And I'm sorry if I've hurt the feelings of all you professional carpenters out there. I had no idea what this stuff would do, and maybe I'm not even using it for the right purpose. But listen, okay, before I put this down here, I jumped around in here, and as you know, I'm not a little fella, and you could just feel the whole place shaking and vibrating. Well, let me tell you, this plywood has made an absolute world of difference in here. My reason for doing it initially was to prevent or to reduce the amount of vibrations my machines are going to set off in this building. The plywood floor was 1/2 inch, you know, really thin plywood. I couldn't have bolted any tools down to it, and it really would have just vibrated like crazy. Not to mention, this thing is a good 3 foot, 3.5 foot in the air on that end, and it's a foot in the air on this end. So, you know, I've got that kind of vibration, and this plywood has made an absolute world of difference. It's not perfect, you know, my putting it together is not perfect, but it did exactly what I wanted it to do, which was tighten this building up and make it less prone to vibrations and easier to bolt tools down to. So there you go. Thanks for watching, y'all. You might accuse me of Yankee engineering, and that would be true. I cut off the bottom groove, and here's why. I have to be able to slide this piece of plywood here up underneath the door jambs on both sides. So there's a 2-inch gap. Or I have to cut a notch out of this plywood and then lay this plywood down with that notch on each side of that. And it's just, since this groove is doing, you know, pretty much 0 for me in stabilizing the seams, I cut off the bottom edge so I could slide the plywood up underneath that and then drop it down on top of the tongue. So now I got to measure out, I think it's 45. 45, cut that off, and one more piece and we're done. That worked out okay. But here's what I've discovered. I still have a gap. And that is with me cutting the bottom groove off. So I'm thinking, as a matter of fact, somebody left a comment saying that they think there is supposed to be a bit of a gap for expansion and contraction, which may be. So what I'm thinking is preventing me from getting these tightly together is the tongue is too long. And maybe that is by design, I do not know. But here's what I do know. These are not 48 inches. Here's how I know. Here is the original scribe line. And up there, my very first sheet, I put the seam right over the 4-foot joist, and I hit a screw. I hit a joist with every screw. And as I've come down this way, I've been a little further and a little further and a little further off the 4-foot joint, over a joist. So I've had to go back and, I don't know if you can see here, I got screws on either side of the seam. This side is in a joist and that side is not. That's how far off it is, and look how far off it is here. That is a good 3 inches over the course of one, 2, 3, 4 sheets of plywood. This thing is off 3 inches from hitting the seam. I'll tell you, I've learned something on this. This is, I've used the wrong thing for this purpose. I should have used plywood, 4-foot by 8-foot, exact plywood without the tongue and groove. But you live and learn, and oh, jeez, getting up. I only got a few more get-ups in me. You live and learn, right? And the expansion and contraction thing may be true, because this morning, this was a 1/4 inch gap right here. And over the course of the day, this is now an 1/8 of an inch gap, and it's 82% humidity. That is tropical level humidity. So this plywood has absorbed enough water in just a couple of hours to decrease that joint by an 1/8 of an inch. All right, I'm gonna measure that, cut it, finish screwing it, clean up, and we're done.